Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning and good evening, depending on where you are, as my good colleague Dan says. So, how is everyone?
Excellent.
That's good.
Perfect.
That's good. That's perfect.
Awesome.
Okay, so welcome everyone. Tonight's event is called Let's Talk Certification. I want to start off by thanking everyone for joining us. We have Marvel, we have Arindam, we have Dan, we have Solomon, we have Frank, and we have the Senior Director of Learning for comptia, Zeshan Satter. So welcome Zeshan, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. What you call it? To I'd like to hand it over to Zeshan to give a presentation on the importance of certification. Zeshan and I have worked closely in the last few months to get to know each other, to talk the value of certification, and CompTIA is something that I hold very dearly in my heart as a really good starting place for certification and to get up there in terms of working with some of the best in the industry. Zeshan, welcome. I'd like to start with you. What you call it now? So can everyone mute mics and video if they would like? Zeshan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Matthew. Hello, everyone. I'm talking to you somewhere. Well, where am I? Yes, I'm in Bradford, West Yorkshire, my hometown. The reason I don't know where I am, I was in Wales the last couple of days, so a bit jet lagged. Although there's not much to get jet lagged about. Train lagged, I guess. Okay. So, thank you so much again, Matthew, for inviting me to your wonderful session this evening. I'm going to talk to you about the value of certifications. Just a few things that I'm going to share that are a bit close to my heart. I'll share some personal stories. I'll give you a bit of introduction of who I am and why I should be talking to you about value of certifications. And there's a personal story there about that one. So let's crack on then. So uh, what is worth kind of mentioning is CompTIA, if you haven't heard of us, we've actually been around since 1982. So we established as an IT association, and we brought together the big boys together, the IBM, the Xerox, the Canons of the world, and some companies you may not have heard of at the time, Microsoft, Apple. Well, I might joke, but back in the early 80s, both Apple and Microsoft were medium-sized companies, and as they grew up, we grew up with them. And I like you to kind of, some of you might not remember this, but for those that you do remember this, cast your mind back to the year of 1992. Apart from the bad haircuts and everything else that was wrong with the early 90s, there was what we had in the typical office were these big, giant IBM PCs, the big desktop PCs. And then you had a big Xerox printer in the corner. And oh, I forgot, the IBM PCs ran Microsoft Windows 3.1, if you remember that one. And a user tries to print and they can't print. So who are you going to call? Well, definitely the Ghostbusters. You got a choice. The engineer from Microsoft, the engineer from IBM, the engineer from Xerox. And what would happen would be whenever those engineers would come, they would mess up each other's settings. So the industry, all these wonderful organizations that were part of CompTIA, came together and said, hey, we got to do something about this. So essentially, they got together, created a gold standard of what a IT support technician should have, a minimum value of knowledge. And that was created in 1992. And we then went on to say, all right, how do we benchmark those people? How can we say these IT technicians have this vendor neutral approach to knowing everything about technical support? Well, let's create a certification program. And in 1993, our certification program was born with our first certification, the CompTIA A Plus. And I'm sure many of you are probably, remember in the early late 90s or early 2000s trying to get your MCSA, MCSC, got you themselves the A plus. So continue to come to your story. What happens is people want to be taught and want to get this certification. So we launched our authorized partner program in the mid 90s. If you're joining us from somewhere else in the world, we didn't actually start the global expansion of CompTIA until 2000. So we had all these wonderful offices around the world. And what might astound you for a long time, we didn't create our own content. We had other partners like Logic Operations, GTS Learning, and a few more I can't remember. And some of these partners still continue to create our content. We basically just left it to the industry to create the content. We just created the exams because we are vendor neutral, of course. But in 2014, we decided to change that and try to create some innovative technological solutions to learn our the learning for our certification. So that was in 2014. We've moved on to just going beyond IT support and that kind of thing to looking at the infrastructure and cloud pathway, the cybersecurity pathway, and recently we launched our data analytics pathway. And this number is actually out of date, but that's the only official statistic I'm allowed to share because that's on the website. We've issued 2.5 million certifications globally. So that's, chances are you've probably come across somebody in your tech career who is CompTIA certified. So let's continue the story on. Well, in terms of our pathways, I mentioned we have three different pathways right now. Our infrastructure pathway, which begins with A plus and culminates with a cloud plus. And then some of you may have already taken things like network plus, server plus, net plus, and security plus. What we're really interested in being known for now, especially when I was at this conference in Wales, is our cybersecurity pathway. And again, trying to kind of bring more people into the cybersecurity profession. If you're like the UK, we have a shortfall of 17,500 professionals need every year in this industry, and can unfortunately fill so much of those professionals. And yeah, and that moves along to Network Plus, Security Plus, CISA Plus, our Blue Team certification, Pentest Plus, our Red Team certification, our CAS Plus, which is a security architects. In February, we launched our new data analytics pathway, or data analytics pathway, with our Data Plus certification, which is for data analysts. So all our certifications are based upon job roles, they're vendor neutral, and the idea behind it is, you can literally start anywhere. So we're not saying you have to start A plus. Start where it makes sense for you, and work your way up. Or not. Like I said, it just depends upon your job role. So as I mentioned previously, all our certifications are based upon job roles. This I've just taken a few out here and the kind of job roles we're linked towards. Now, why does that matter? Well, if you're like me, if you're a technology trainer or been a technology trainer past, you would have noticed when students come to you, say, and the ones that are trying to find a new job or trying to get to the next job, and say, I've seen this job advert and the list of knowledge and skills is as long as my arm. How do I get to know this? Now, you can do all the searching in the world. You can read all the white papers in the world. We all talk about the NIST white papers in all the training that we do. But the quite easiest way is, certification at the end of the day, basically distill those bits of knowledge and skills and put it in one convenient place. So essentially, by following any one of our certifications, it helps people to access those job roles, access at least the knowledge and skills for those job roles. I'll make my slides available afterwards, folks, so you can actually go into that web page and see our job roles that it also links into. So who am I and why should I be telling you about certifications? Well, yeah, as Matthew mentioned, my name is Zishan Sattar. I am the Senior Director for Learning and Skills Certification, and I'll tell you what that means in just a moment. But essentially, I started my career in 2004, graduating in cybernetics. And essentially, what ended up happening was, as soon as I graduated, 10 years later, I ended up working and living in Japan. And I went out there to teach English, but somehow, through a long story that doesn't but worth mentioning here right now, is I ended up taking over the technical support for the school and the surrounding schools I was at. And the city council came to me and said, how are you qualified to touch our systems? What qualifies it to you? And I said, hey, look at my wonderful degree in cybernetics. And they said, no, that's not enough. So I ended up doing my first CompTIA Microsoft certifications while I was out living and working in Japan. And I began my journey with the CompTIA A Plus. That was back in 2005. And that showed me the value of what the city council felt was on certifications. The other thing was the Japanese have a very interesting approach to professional development. They believe in something called Kaizen, like continuous improvement. And so when I wanted to go and sit my exam as in Japan, I had to travel 2.5 hours to a city where I could only take an exam every third Sunday of a month. So if I miss time my revision and my learning, I would miss the slot to take my exam. So it's very important to the Japanese people that you keep to the timings, you hit your targets, and that's how I began that my certification journey. It then gets a bit stranger. So again, another little story that I won't refer to right now, but I ended up back in the UK. And this is going to sound like a Craig David song. And for those people who don't know who's Craig David, Google him or Bing him. I know some Microsoft supporters in the room. And literally, I came on a Sunday. I applied for a job on a Monday. I went for an interview on Wednesday, and Friday I had the job. And I asked the hiring manager, how come I was so quick in this process? I've seen that they've been advertising for that position again and again and again, and they couldn't find anyone. And the hiring manager simply said, "You had the certs." It put me to the bottom, to the top of the pile, not the bottom pile. So yes, I got there. And every job I've had since then has been all about using my certifications, and I've kind of accessed more job roles there. So I've got comptia, I've got Microsoft, I've got HP, Prince2, ITIL, it looks like I chart my CV or resume, if you will. So what my job is right now is to really focus upon helping more people into the industry. So I run our workforce development programs in EMEA, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And one of the programs you might have seen, I always talk about on LinkedIn and social media, is Cyber Ready. I've run other programs like Tech Discovery, and I also helped set up the UK Cybersecurity Council last year. So lots of different things. For more information, just find me on LinkedIn. Okay, so enough about me. Let's find out why certification matters. So this is the point where I really need people to interact with me in the chat box at least. So what do you know? So what percentage of IT leaders do you believe have skill gaps in the department? So these are real statistics that I've gleaned from different white papers. What do you think, folks? Give me a number. If my fellow presenters want to come and just say something, I'm more than happy to take that.
I think 20% of IT leaders have skill gaps in the department.
Well, you'd be surprised. It's 76%.
Oof.
So they have. So that's interesting. Okay. So next one, what percentage of candidates reported benefits of certification include faster performance, high engagement, and better work outcomes? So after they've done the certification, they've done a survey a few months later and say, hey, this is what's happened. So, Dan, I'm assuming that was from the previous number. So, any other numbers you want to throw at me? Just like price to ride, higher, lower. No one knows that.
I'd go higher than 45.
Okay, the higher
let's say 55%.
55%. Okay, great.
Right.
50%.
Still low.
Yes.
Okay. And next one, last one for this one. What percentage of candidates would recommend certification to someone seeking to start or advance their career in IT? So this one was quite shocking to me.
Yeah, this has to be lower, depending upon the trend. 76, 80. I go for 55 or maybe something like that.
You're saying 55? It's actually 70%. So I actually expected it to be 55 as well. So, well done on that one. So you can see that people who've trod the pathway, like me, believe it's well worth helping the next person to kind of, get something on their CV or resume to move upwards. Okay, so we're not done with the interaction just yet. Okay, so this is a report from a few years ago. I can't find anything similar, so that's why I'm using this one for 2016. What are hiring managers looking for? So, folks, what do you think? And again, my fellow presenters, feel free to unmute yourselves and put something.
I think a lot of them are looking for experience at the moment.
Experience. Okay, cool. Anything else?
Looking for people that are, I'd say go-getters, people that want to learn.
Continuous learning, experience, certification. If they don't have the experience, I'd say is another education.
So you kind of hit all the things on the kind of head there. So you got high-level technical skills, management skills, knowledge and experience, interpersonal skills, and customer service skills. So those last two kind of is interesting. It's quite where in the tech industry we sometimes get focused on tech. But we as professionals are no longer confined to the basement. We are in the boardroom talking. Hopefully not in geek speak to the board, but hopefully talking to the board and say, hey, these are the risks of what will not happen or what will happen if we don't patch this system, for example. So yeah, so these are what the kind of things the hiring manager is looking for. So let's move on. So this is an interesting graph here, and it's not just necessarily for certification, but this is like any kind of learning that you have. So as time goes on, our knowledge goes away, as it were. You know, come on, if you ask me to name you IIQ codes from 2005, remember those things, IIQ codes? You know, those things we had to memorize them for the exam, but now we don't. We don't care about it. It's all about PMP, plug and play. But as you go through your life, as it were, you know, what happens is that applied knowledge, you know, and folks who are using, you know, AWS, Azure, etc. Think about when you first used the Azure portal. How did it look? How does it look right now? That if you became a whiz on the Azure portal back in 2015, was I was using a lot? Yeah, 2015. It doesn't look like that way anymore. Okay, so that kind of applied knowledge kind of fades away, and its value is kind of gone, as it were. Okay, you know, but the basic theoretical knowledge, the stuff, the foundations, always sticks. Guess what? Right now, you know, somewhere in the world where there's a cybersecurity class going on right now, they're learning the OSI model. They're learning TCP/IP. They're learning about IP networking, all that sort of stuff. Why? Because it's the fundamentals, and that's how the world still kind of works. So that kind of stuff always sticks with you. So people say to me, "Oh, yeah, that certification, oh, doesn't matter, whatever." Actually, there's a lot of value there as well. So let's move on to that one. And I kind of alluded to this earlier, the continuous professional development piece. So this is my opinion, and I always believe that to be continuously successful within our industry, our tech industry, you got to have an education. So what I mean by that is continuous education. Like, you know, you read a book, you watch a YouTube video, you look, you know, use Coursera, use, you know, LinkedIn Learning, whatever. You basically keep on with the education. Okay, you got to get that experience. Now, in our world, and this is the bit that I always get frustrated about. People like, oh, how to get experience? Well, we love virtual machines in the tech world. So go and hire a virtual machine, go and do something. And of course, if you got a job, brilliant, you know, kind of learn more in that job and get your hands on, get your hands dirty as well. But to bridge that gap, I always believe you have to have the certification to kind of have a benchmark, prove it to yourself. Because if you have that confidence after passing that exam, you'll get the confidence on top. And this is the reality of our world, and I'm going back to the point of, you know, me, you know, doing that first A plus in 2005 to me doing the new A plus sometime this year is the case of we got to do it again and again and again to have a sustainable career. There's no point about what you learned yesterday, is what you learned today, and what you'll be doing tomorrow. So this is the world we live in right now. So CompTIA is very special. We are a vendor-neutral IT association, and essentially, you know, it's not me that creates our certification. It's not some, you know, crazy wizard in CompTIA Towers in our headquarters in just outside of Chicago that's creating our certification. It's actually you guys, the industry. We actually get industry practitioners, such as you people. We basically, pre-pandemic, we used to basically put you on a plane, then get you to Chicago, lock you in a room, and say, right, this is a job role, say, for a security administrator. In the next few days, you're going to tell us exactly what that job role is looking right now, what it's going to look like in the next 3 years, and we basically distill that information. And what that means is we get a nice industry viewpoint of what the job role looks like and how it's going to evolve, and then we run it through alpha tests, a beta test, and so many tests. So at any given, it might surprise you, all our certifications that we bring out have probably about 2,000 people that hit it. So that's the way it works. So in terms of cases, going a bit more further into those value of certifications, why certification matter? Well, essentially, the employers want them. You know, there's some companies that have taken from different job ads in the UK, I should stress, that are asking for CompTIA certified professionals, and these are just a few. Oh, actually, sorry, I forgot to mention there are some from the US and the extreme right as well. You got the US DoD and that kind of thing. But you can see by and large, there's companies that are household names. There are companies that are very specific to UK. You know, if you are gamers from a long time ago, you might see Codemasters there. You got banks there. You might see under A plus a wonderful third from the bottom, that organization that really I shouldn't name. And when I saw their job advert that said, hey, you know, wow, you guys are using this our certification, I emailed them. Now, can you tell me how you use that certification? A long time goes, I don't hear anything. All of a sudden, I get an email one day saying, thank you for your email, Zishan. Yes, we like CompTIA certification. We're not going to tell you what we do with them. Goodbye. And sorry, forgot to add the cherry on top. don't email us again. So there you go. So I have no idea what that organization does with our certifications, but they love us, so who cares? And you'll see these documents coming out again and again from the industry that say, hey, these are the top certifications that we see. I just pull these out for some cybersecurity certifications, but all our certifications tend to do it. And as you see, it's not just ours there. You got different bodies across the world that are recognized by different bodies or different papers. So in terms of in terms of the employee piece, what we did was we asked IDC to go and find out what is the impact of comptia certified employees. So IDC did an ethnographic study. So if you're not sure what that means, is they actually embedded somebody within an organization who just basically watched people and got involved, and they look like a normal employee, but they were basically a secret shopper, if you will. And they found that comptia certified employees were more knowledgeable, reached job proficiency more quickly, and performed at a higher level. Great, that was from 2014. But like any ethnographic study, it has to happen over time. So in 2019, they were still observing same office, and they said, okay, right, this is what we found out now. So those people who were comptia certified, they were 50% more likely to be promoted. They had more promotions. Their performance in the role always outstripped people who were never certified, and they had more professional influence. So they could actually have the ear of the board compared to people who were not certified. So that study showed that now certifications matter as you progress your career, because again, that confidence piece it builds in. And yeah, I show these numbers for when I present to students, but I don't think it really matters to this audience. But essentially, it helps to add a few extra pounds or dollars or whatever to your bottom line. So yeah, these are median salaries from those different websites there. I've been told these are too little, but I can only do what the data shows me. And yeah, if you're looking to, sometimes people say, okay, right, great. I don't care about CompTIA certification. I don't care about XYZ certification. I want to become a CSSP, or I want to be, the top level Microsoft certified, whatever it is nowadays. I'm a bit outdated, unfortunately. But the fact is, you got to start somewhere. You got to plan out your route map. And so this is IT certification roadmap that we've been producing since I think 2001. Has been is very popular, and it kind of shows you how someone can progress their career through certifications in a different all the different pillars there. And again, why do certifications count? Because we've heard of something called NICE, the National Institute for Cybersecurity Education, which is owned by NIST. They want to see how the NIST job roles and the skills and the tasks and all that kind of thing all match up. They'll look at CompTIA certification as a way to get those knowledge and skills. And that also feeds into the US DoD mandate. So if you want to work for the military, or maybe you don't want to work for the military, but you want to supply to military, and that's all comes back to supply chain. So in the UK, a lot of companies want to supply to the US DoD. So what they're looking for is people who are certified to actually in the teams to actually say, yeah, you've got a rubber badge, rubber stamp even, to just say you have have got a minimum requirement, and we trust you. It's about trusted people at the end there. So the US DoD mandate gives them that. And yep, we in the UK we're not immune to that kind of thing. So there's something called the government security profession, and that all cites our certifications as well as our certifications as part of it as well. And this is from Scotland, and what the Scottish government did was literally map out 15 different job roles and say, right, from entry to expert, what are different certifications needed to that? And again, this takes all the alphabet soup. So it doesn't just include ours, it includes things like ISACA, Microsoft, Amazon, etc. Everyone's in this mix here. So again, you can look at this when I share these slides. So I'm come to my, I'm well over time. So essentially what I'm trying to say, folks, is they help you get the job. They help you learn for the job, actually. Help you to gain and consolidate your knowledge and skills for that job role. It helps you get the interview, because at the end of the day, it just depends upon how you perform at the interview. But more importantly, it sets you up on your continuous professional development pathway, and that keeps you in a job and gets you next one. Because the minute you stop learning in this industry, you're a dodo, and you might as well be in stick. That's my opinion, and not the opinion of my employer. So that's why I should say they're quite simply. So, folks, if you want the value of certifications, I've certainly gained from my career, and I'm sure my fellow speakers have done so as well. And if you're one of those people thinking, well, I was certified, it didn't really might mean much to me, but I'm sure it helped you get that job role. So what I would implore you to do is don't basically steal that ladder. Don't pull the ladder behind you. Make sure that ladder's there, because it's very important for us globally to bring in new tech talent. And I'm not saying certification is a silver bullet, but there's all these different pathways, and it's one of the ways for people to get in and progress their careers. And on that, Matthew, I will relinquish the floor.
Thanks a million, Session. That was actually really interesting. What you call it? Look, it's a real privilege to have you here. I have, as you can gather, been a huge fan of CompTIA. I started my journey back about 15 years ago at this stage now, with the one of the original A plus certifications, one of the lower numbers under, I think it was 900 or something. Um, what you call it? I remember going for my A plus thinking, nah, not gonna do well. And I actually learned that I was better than I thought I was. And I think CompTIA certifications for people they do surprise others, that they can do well in the CompTIA world of learning. Um, what you call it? Have you any advice for people starting out, Session? Just would you start with ITF plus? Would you start with A plus? Where would you start?
Oh, that's a very interesting question, isn't it? So I would say IT Fundamentals, ITF Plus, is a certification for people who don't know where they want to go in tech. So our IT certification, so our ITF Plus is all about going through the four pillars of technology as we see it: infrastructure, cybersecurity, data, and software development. So if you're thinking about, okay, I don't know which area I want to specialize in, I just want to get my feet wet, start with IT fundamentals, ITF plus. But if you've already made that choice of, say, going to infrastructure, cybersecurity, then definitely A plus is the best way to go, because that will open your eyes to a lot more things in within that infrastructure area, but in much more deeper than ITF would do. So I would recommend that would be the great way to go. And plus, ITF is not linked to any kind of job role. At least with the A plus, that there's all these help desk jobs out there to help you get there. So that's where I would differentiate between the two. Is one is job role linked, one is more exploration.
Okay, I have a good question for you. I was shocked to see Security Plus was ranked number one over CISA. What is the data that's backing that, considering CISA has grown over the last 2 years?
So
The
you
level
mean
of people.
the report that came in? Look,
Yeah,
I don't control what a journalist says. that says
yeah.
that. But you see, remember what the Security Plus does is a turnkey certification. So basically, if you're coming into cybersecurity and some networking, you're saying, right, I'm going to come to cybersecurity. Is that kind of very broad certification? People say it's a mile wide and an inch deep. So it's teaching you a bit about it goes through the whole people, process, technology, but a bit about that kind of thing. So architecture and design, encryption, GRC. So if you want that kind of broad-based certification, that's where it goes into. And that's why when we see people in the industry, in the cybersecurity industry, there's a lot of people that have CIS, of course, CSSP, but a lot more have Security Plus, and then they've gone into other ways like CISM or OSCP or whatever. So that's what is that good foundational certification.
Has I have a question for you. People who Okay, what's your opinion on people who decide that, look, I don't want to do any of the lower end CompTIA certification. I'm just going to go for CASP and reach for the stairs. What's your practical advice on that? Because I did have someone that did that recently, and they did discover it wasn't as good idea afterwards. But what is your advice, just general for
Yes.
helping people? Yeah.
So first things first is I always say to people, review our exam objectives. So unlike some certification bodies, and I think most are good. They actually publish this exam objectives. We can basically go on our website, give a few details. You gotta give something to get something, and then you download that exam objectives. And what I do from there is, Matthew, is and this is I'll tell you what in the what I actually do. Okay, but anyways, but when I print them out and I cross out things I know, then I circle the things I don't know, and then I go and find out more about those things I don't know. Now, when you're going through that list and you're having to basically really justify to yourself that do you know you don't know it sort of thing, then you have problems. And I would say, okay, go one level back, and that's the way I would go. Like, go start. If you want to go cast as where your goal is, great, go there. But check out the objectives and then work your way back. We also have sample questions on our website. So again, when you download the objectives, you can say, yeah, let me see some sample questions. Again, review the sample questions, see if it's right for you. So that's one way to do it, is like, go and check it out before you go and buy, as it were. And I don't want this to be a plug, as it were, but we have a 30-day Cert Master Learn and Labs trial on our website. Yeah. So if you want to go and see the content a bit more deeper, go and check it out for 30 days. And again, that gives you a bit more flavor of what you're getting it, what you're getting yourself into. Sorry, Matthew.
And just for all the learners out there that don't know, CompTIA do offer the 30-day trial on every single one of their products. You just have to go and search for the CompTIA Cert Master for that product and type in trial afterwards, and it'll bring you straight to the CompTIA website. Or you can use a authorized CompTIA partner who can provide you very good discounts on a lot of the exam books and the practice tests and all that. Or you can use an education partner who will often be either a university, a school, a non-profit, depending on who it is, and they'll be able to provide more support there. CompTIA have 3 different ways of getting involved in the training and the certification and the books and the online material, and they have that all posted on their website, as CompTIA has recently updated everything in the last few months, haven't they?
Yeah, well, we're in that kind of period of transition, I would say. So we really are pushing where we're going in our kind of learning content and whatnot. So yeah, so we've got single sign-on at last, I must say. I remember having like 60, dads like laughing there. So like, well, you had a Cert Matrix account, a Peer View account, I can't remember, and some more Badgley or Credly account, I can't remember. But yeah, like 6 different accounts to like find your like competition. It's horrible. Yeah. So we're now kind of consolidated, and again, Cert Master is also part of that single sign-on, so it's all in one place. I'm so glad about that.
You and me both. So, does CompTIA have? Okay, so CompTIA now have a thing where Microsoft has brought out 3 pretty much fundamental exams for all to get started with learning. Mm-hmm. What is CompTIA going to do anything to combat in terms of where they might bring out ITF Plus to make it pretty much available for anyone to get started in IT? Okay. So is there anything like that coming out for
Matthew,
CompTIA geeks?
I'm gonna have to stop you there. I don't like the word combat. We complement Microsoft.
Sorry, complement. Yeah. Okay?
Because Microsoft is one of our was with us right at the beginning. They're still a CompTIA member, and they get involved in developing our certification. So not a single.
Sorry, better word is complement. How are we going to complement different?
So how are we going to complement the Microsoft offers? So we what we do. I have to reiterate, we're a non-profit association, so we don't have the Azure credit funding coming in to kind of allow us to give everything away. So if you look at our website and say, where we publish, hey, this is the money we made last year, and then you look at what Microsoft made last year, you're like, whoa, David and Goliath, as it were, as such. And unfortunately, we're not going to be knocking out Goliath anytime soon. And we don't want to, they're, like I said, they're a trusted member community. So what we do is we work regionally on different programs. So for example, I believe, Matthew, you're in Ireland. So in Ireland, we work with the FIT organization, and we help them with their apprenticeship program. We do similar efforts here in the UK. I mentioned our Cyber Ready program, which is launching first class on Saturday. And what we're doing there is taking 30 people from various backgrounds, and we're going to basically train and certify them in CompTIA Security Plus and CISA Plus, and help them to find a cybersecurity analyst job role over the next 6 months. And that program is completely free. So we work with the governments and the regional entities to find the problem that they want solving, and then we basically do pilots and we push that across. And I would be remiss on not mentioning our partnership with the Microsoft Data Center Academies. So around the world, where Microsoft set up data centers, they basically invest in the local education organization there. And what they want is, even before they do Azure and all that kind of thing, say, well, learn the basics, and we work with them to basically make sure that these students can learn the comptia syllabus essentially for free, because Microsoft's paying for it.
Okay. I'm in the process, session of working with a local college in Limerick. I'm actually going to be training students at nighttime in both CompTIA and Microsoft certification.
Great.
So I'm just starting to think now. Obviously, I must get the contact for Ireland to see if we can link in with that, because it's a government college in Limerick. I'm not going to say the name at the
Yeah,
moment, but where
and what we'll do is, Matthew, we can take that one offline.
yeah, yeah,
And again, anyone who's thinking about, like, you want to help out with your local community, you want to give
mm,
back. Now, more than happy, link you up with, my CompTIA colleagues around the world to say kind of how is the best way to kind of work with your local communities to kind of put in the CompTIA certifications to then push in, to get that next generation. Now, one thing is my bugbear, and I will say this quite annoyingly right now, is when I first started training in the apprenticeship space back in 2007, the number of females in tech was 17%. I'm going to use last year's data now. So last year, the published data for females in tech was 17%. So in the last 15 years, as it were, nothing's changed in the UK. It's still been
it's
17%. So it's crazy. So folks, now what we need to do is encourage more females to come in tech. And I hate to say it, I'm looking around the room. Yeah, we're all male, aren't we? Yeah, so we're not the
yeah,
right people, as it was. So we need
yeah.
to get more allies, more females to get more to get the next generation in.
I actually do agree with you, Zeshan. We had this conversation on Journey to the Cloud 3.0 event. We had one or two females on our event, Micah, and we Kat Green, and she's an MVP
Right.
for Microsoft Teams. And I actually said that's something I brought up, is the lack of females in the IT sector. And while you're saying it's 17%, uh, it's bad in the UK. It's worse in Ireland. We just don't have it, and it's so disappointing. I work in an office with it's majority male dominated, but we do have maybe three. We're lucky enough, we've three ladies in our office that are IT support, and it's just like I didn't see it. I haven't seen it in 12 years. First
It's
time
crazy,
I've worked
isn't it?
in that
Yeah.
it shouldn't be a male dominated thing. IT should be something that everybody gets involved in, everybody loves. Um, as you said, the more work governments, CompTIA, Microsoft, all ISC squared, all the vendors, the more work they do with the governments on getting STEM and technology active in all the different communities in Ireland, the UK, and Europe, and across the US, the better it is, because we'll have a very balanced working environment where you have both sets together, because the sky's the limit, and
Yeah.
the more men, the more females in the industry, the better it gets, and the more challenging it gets, and the more fun it gets, and it's more interesting.
Yeah,
You know?
we talk about system diversity. We've got to
Yeah.
have diversity of thought, and if we keep on hiring the same people in our own image, we're not going to get anywhere. So we need to, and I'm talking about, when I talk about diversity, I don't mean the same buckets there. I know, yes, female, that is a problem that we have to solve. But there also, we've got to look at people from lower socioeconomic backgrounds, people from different ethnic minorities. We have to make it possible as a tech industry to have a more welcoming type of area, because I'm sure there was I can't remember, there was some famous person here in the UK. They went to a school and elementary school, primary school, and said, "Hey, draw an IT technician." And what ended up happening was they all drew a version of me, someone in glasses, and yeah, looking very geeky. So we got to kind of dispel that perception. Remember, I said earlier that the IT professionals are part of the boardroom, and that's the bit that we got to project. That we're not in hoodies, or we're not in.
What I do,
We're wearing suits, or basically we have that flexibility to work. Come on, folks, don't mean, I'm sorry, I'm dominating here, but in the
no.
pandemic, technical professionals in the UK was class of key workers. So alongside doctors, nurses, and all that jazz, we were the people that were making sure that the underlying infrastructure was running so everyone else could get work done. The emergency services could respond. How cool is that?
Brilliant.
We gotta then show those bits to the female population, to other diverse people. Say, this is what you're doing. You're not turning computers off and on again. You're actually making sure people can, is that what's the Microsoft phrase? Empowering more people to do more now. And comptia phrase is unlocking potential. So we're all in the same boat in terms of trying to increase people into this industry, but we just gotta have the right levers to pull to do so. And hey, I'm quite all for it now. If we want to go into a school and say, hey, let's get them all ITS certified at 14 or 13, let's do it.
What I love, as after my nonprofit became a CompTIA authorized partner, and what I love is the way CompTIA have done out the graphics for all the different exams. It has women, it has men, it shows all the age demographics for, like they've shown how you can start young and you can work your way up um to retirement age. And even at that, I think in IT you don't really retire in IT. You just, you go off and you figure out your own thing towards later in life. But CompTIA have done a fantastic job at they did a booklet for all the what you call it, the exams, and it's really good. I'm just going to share my
Yeah,
screen for
go
a
for
minute,
it.
because I think this is I like this. I think this is good. So we're just going to share this. So if we just have a look, CompTIA have done out a booklet. Plus means more opportunities, and it goes through everything and just all the graphics, the way they did the skills and competencies, how they, the whole design of it. Um, it's really good, and it shows throughout, what to expect in the exams, just like you went through session. Can everyone see my screen? I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sure. Yeah,
Yep.
you can. Yeah. Okay. So they go through everything, and the course overviews are all in there. We have the new Network Plus N1008 there, and it just gives you a breakdown, and all the information is there. And I think CompTIA, like, Server Plus, lovely, lovely illustration there. The skill set there. It's a female representing servers. You don't see a lot of this. You have it here with men. You have Linux here with women. They've just CompTIA have done such a good job at, there's a young lad starting out in Cloud Plus. They've done such a good job at showing all the different certifications, roles, and people that may or may not have been in it. It's really good. And I have to say, as a CompTIA member and certification holder, that's what it's about. It's about diversity. It's about men and women. It's about tech. It's about collaborating. It's about STEM and technology, and that's what it is. It's showing all the good in IT and how, as a world of IT professionals, we can all get together and be the best of the best. And there's one guy I actually follow a lot on YouTube, Dwayne. He's in the US. He is YouTube.
Was it Labs Every Day? Is that him?
Sorry,
Or
sorry.
somebody else?
No, it was yeah.
Does it do the Labs Every Day podcast or YouTube? I don't know what to call it.
He did a bit of everything, but he did a lot of the CompTIA videos on why you should not do like CASP as your first exam and all that. I think his nickname is IT Master on it, but he is a prime example of a young lad who started out at the very basics and worked his way up. And I really do like him. I think he's quite good. What you call it? I think I have him on LinkedIn as well. Um, he just puts up good content is the only word for it. Has anyone ever heard of him? Dwayne Nat. There's Dwayne Natwick as well. He's a cloud research manager. He's good as well. Some good stuff. We have the likes of Kat Greenan, who's coming up in the world as an MVP and Microsoft Teams certified. She's doing some amazing work. Is there anyone that kind of wants to give a shout out to people who they think are doing good?
We had Cherokee Boos on the show as well, and she's from Florida. Does a lot with servers, IT Pro. She was on IT Pro TV for a while, and just really community focused.
And she also taught for us as well for a while. I think she does as well still. So there you
Thank
go.
you.
It's a
Okay,
small
yeah.
world. Yeah, it's a small world.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. So Dan, I'm just looking at your comments there. So 993. Did you take the CompTIA Plus in 993? Is that what you said there?
I did not. I was just documenting. I think that's when you said it came out. In
Yes.
1998, I got my first certification, and I was debating back and forth on, the CompTIA or the Microsoft Essentials. So I took the Microsoft Networking Essentials in 98, but been familiar with CompTIA for quite a while, and not too far from the Microsoft office in the Chicago suburbs.
Oh, okay. So have you been to our offices in Downers Grove?
I have not, but they're
Okay.
in that same business park, so I knew they were there. I need a local contact to make a visit at some point.
Okay. Oh well.
So I just want
Sorry, go on.
I just wanted to share that out before I did forget. That's Dwayne Roberts. This is the guy I was talking about, and he does a lot of CompTIA videos. I don't know what way he works with CompTIA in terms of does he work with them on a capacity, but I find he is one of the most interesting people to look at. He's based in the US. For those starting out in IT, absolutely look at his videos because they're just one of a kind, and he's original, good content, and he's very interesting.
Cool.
Yeah, I just wanted to put that out there before we forget. Zeshan, CompTIA certification. Obviously, CompTIA are working very hard on all the new exams that are coming out. We just had the Network Plus, the N10008. We have the new Project Plus in production. Can't speak too much about it. That's coming down the line. We had the new Data Plus that just came out. What are CompTIA going to do in terms of the renewal process? We're growing all the certifications to .ce continuous education. They do up to Security Plus on that. Are they going to expand that? Are we going to see anything new there, or is it you can only do a bench prep training course up to Security Plus, and then
you mean the
for continuing education?
Yeah, well, you know what? I'd be remiss to not give a shout out to our new Linux Plus, which is coming out soon, the XK005. I believe that's out in July. So that's coming out next, and yeah, and I think for those people who are saying why Linux Plus sort of thing, there's LCFS and the LPIC one. So those tend to be very specialized. Linux Plus tends to be a case of, okay, if you are gonna want a good starter primer in Linux, that's where you would go to. Doesn't matter if your focus is infrastructure, cybersecurity, or anything else. People say DevOps, as it were. So that's would be my good way to kind of look into Linux Plus. So that's one there. And I mentioned I want to show you our little infrastructure. Our career pathway very early on the slides. We're still building out our data analytics pathway. So we're going to have Data Plus was this year. We're going to have also a data scientist plus on the extreme right hand side. We're also going to have a data systems. I think basically like a data certification for engineers, and then we're also going to have an expanded foundation set of certifications. So kind of building out, IT fundamentals and other certification, that kind of level. So kind of
I'm dying to ask the question that a
go
lot
on.
of people online have been asking. Is CompTIA coming out with a fundamental cybersecurity exam? Because I've heard rumors. Is it happening?
Well, if you, technically, I'm not allowed to answer that. However,
Yeah.
however, if you go onto a website and look at, because we need subject matter experts all the time. So if you go onto the CompTIA website and look for under certifications and subject matter experts, you'll see a bunch of workshops which might give you an inkling of the different certifications that are coming out. So that's a very
Okay.
that's the official way for me not to break my NDA
That's
to talk about it.
that's a hot tip for anyone looking to think
And,
CompTIA
and
cybersecurity. Look at it. Look at
and
the CompTIA
also
website.
everything that's coming out further down the line as well.
Mm.
So again, it's very interesting where we're going in that world. But what I'm trying to say is, we are not determining our fate as our subject matter experts do. We have something called a certification advisory council. Again, anyone on this call is allowed to apply for it. And we want people to come and tell us, right, where are the gaps in the industry? What do we need? And and we are getting involved in many different ways. So if in your part of the world you use something called the Sophia framework, the Skills for the Information Age framework, we're mapped to that. I mentioned the NICE framework earlier. Very soon we're going to become. We were a founding member of the Cybersecurity Council because we worked on building up. Very soon we're going to be officially put ourselves as a member of the Cybersecurity Council in the UK. So there's lots of stuff going on with CompTIA globally that we're just trying to say, look, there is more than one way to skin a cat. Yes, you might want to go down the AWS path. You might want to go down the but if you're not too sure where to specialize in, we have something for you. We've got Cloud Essentials Plus for you. So we've got other ways to help people to get into the industry and progress into the
I
industry.
liked the way CompTIA did the Cloud Essentials and Cloud Plus exams in terms of you had your basic cloud exam and then you had your more in-depth cloud exam. And sometimes you just want to give people, as the title states, the essentials. They need to understand what the basics are in cloud. And I think that was really smart on CompTIA's behalf. And it was a great way of kind of building your confidence to Cloud Plus. If you had never looked at a cloud exam for Microsoft or IC Squared or any of the SACA ones, it was a good way to start off. Okay, let's have a look at Cloud Essentials with CompTIA, and then let's maybe look at Microsoft at the moment are in the process of retiring all their MTA certifications. What I think is funny is they're retiring them. I think we're now May, June. They're retiring them in June. The rush of people going to go and do those exams just because they're going to be good for life exams to have. But CompTIA, what people might not realize is Cloud Essentials is a good for life certification.
Yeah.
And you don't have to take 3-4 exams to get Cloud Essentials. It's one exam. It's proctored. It's easygoing. I know. Have CompTIA have obviously been working with Pearson VUE on the complaints, the good things, the bad things, the ugly, like every other vendor. So I don't think for anyone that's watching I've seen a lot of the complaints that went in. I think CompTIA and Microsoft and IC Squared and all the vendors have really worked with Pearson VUE to deliver a very good experience to people. And there's a lot of rubbish online about how proctors weren't nice or they weren't this. The exams all state clear desk, clear room policy. You know, if you have that, there will be no issues. And I don't think CompTIA, or Microsoft or any of the vendors can be blamed for where people have those experiences, because it's up to you as a candidate who abided by the rules and regulations of your exam provider that you would, participate in a proper manner. So I know you've probably seen a lot of that yourself, Session.
Well, Matthew, I can see a lot in my inbox. Let's put it that way. So,
Mm.
so I have to kind of agree with that. Okay? But you see, we're all humans, and people make mistakes. And the great thing is, in none of the cases that I've had that said, okay, this happened, that happened. I work with our, Pearson U is have an office just like in Manchester, so about 45 minutes away from where I am. I pass a query there, within minutes it's sorted, and not a problem. So people are people, and I always believe about customer service. So if as long as someone complains with me in complaints, quote unquote, as well, in a nice way, like, hey Zishan, this happened again, can you help me? Great. But if it's going to be in some colorful language, then the world is not that way. Let's put it that way. So and I wonder, why did I want to be an IT professional in the first place? Because that's no place in tech.
Guys, we have Session here. Come on, ask him questions. It was get him here.
Matthew,
ask him questions.
Actually, you're talking about on-mute online testing here, which is great, which we brought out in the right at the beginning of pandemic. Actually, April 12th it came out. So for a while we had no testing because all the testing centers closed down.
Yes.
But I'm looking at Dan here because I think we're similar ages here, Dan. Okay. Remember having to drive 50, 100 miles just for a test center. and then
schedule, to your point, and schedule ahead of time, and you have to get into that window, and
and you could not actually then now you can you wake up in the morning, I feel a bit chesty cough, okay, I'll reschedule my exam. At that time you're taking that exam, you're forfeiting the fee. So we are living in such a great perfect world, when it used to be. And folks, anyone else remember prometric testing?
Yes.
Okay, that was you think Pearson has issues? Prometric, gosh, that was
Session, I know I probably aren't as old as a lot of the people that are in IT, and there's younger people than me, obviously.
And look,
but
age is one thing. There's age matters nothing in IT, by the way. That's
no.
Out.
What I will say is I do remember going back in 2012 to a Pearson VUE centre in Limerick in Ireland, because back in 2012 we didn't have any availability to be able to do these exams. Sometimes actually we used to have to travel to Dublin to take our CompTIA or Microsoft exams. And what I also remember is doing the Certiport exams, where you had to travel for those. And the prometric exams were the ones where unfortunately, CompTIA and Microsoft weren't offered at the time when I went to do them through prometric. It was the driver's license theory tests when I had to do that. So I remember all three of those actually. So it's gas how we've gone from waiting for a van and scheduling it, to waiting for a test center and scheduling it, to doing it from home at pretty much within 45 minutes of you booking your exam. You can usually take it, which is unreal. So it's advanced.
Matthew, sorry, so say something else. Sorry.
No, I was saying it's advanced.
Well,
to
that point, I'm going to say to you, so the last time I took Security Plus, I can't remember. Security Plus Net was one of those exams that I remember. I'm sure it's like for you, like for me right now, people schedule meetings and you block out that time for a meeting. Then an hour before that meeting, they say, oh, sorry, Zishan, I need to cancel the meeting. So I was like, oh gosh, I've got a couple hours free now. What do I do? I'm going to take an exam. So I just, like you said, I just went to a place of view on view, booked the exam, half an hour later or 45 minutes later, whatever it was, I'm taking the exam. How cool is that? That has to be quite good. Okay. Fortunately, I can't remember whichever exam was net plus or security, well, I ended up passing, so it didn't matter. But going back to my points about exam objectives, what I had done was basically crossed out everything I knew and said, okay, I just need to go read up that and took the exam. So that's the great way. By the way, folks, I'm not saying you do that when you study for the exam, study it properly. I'm just old now, so please go and study. It's very important. But if you know your stuff, you can literally. I'm looking at Dan, Ram, and Solomon and Frank. We can probably rock up to testers or online testing and just pass, can't we? At the end on the lower level exams, sure we can.
I know there was the concept when I started getting certified of paper certifications, meaning similar to college, right? You've got the instruction, the theory, but you don't have the material or the practical use of the material. And I remember that was an issue back in the 90s.
You mean the paper MCSEs?
Yeah, paper MCSEs.
Yeah, they were very interesting, weren't they? Yeah, I had to let a few of those go.
Yeah.
And we see, folks, there's the right way to do exams and the wrong way to do exams. Okay, as long as you do it the right way, and and someone asks me, well, what's the wrong way? Well, it's the wrong way, so there's no need for me to tell you what's the wrong way. You've got to put the hours in. You've got to I won't say read the books, but read the online books, do the e-learning, you gotta do the labs. If you don't do the labs, you're no good to me at the end. Okay, if you don't do that, put that hard work in, then you're gonna get unstuck very quickly, because I'm gonna be that horrible hiring manager across the room and saying, right, so what is HTTPS? How does that work? What support users? I will go deep, as it were, because I will go as deep as your certification. That's what I do. Anyway, so that's me. Dan, Aaron, Dan, what questions do you have?
Guys, Dan, any questions?
Aaron, Dan? Did I say your name right?
Oh, sorry, Aaron, Dan. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me, Sean?
Yes.
Cool. You said about the Linux Plus examination, the certification. Basically, I'm a huge Linux and a Cisco fan. I started my career from there. In my opinion, we have this RHCT, Red Hat Certified Technician, and then we have the Red Hat Certified Engineers. How is it how it is giving a kickstart the Linux Plus in comparison to RHCT?
Well, I've looked at RHCSA, the Red Hat Certified System Administrator, and I was doing. Ironically, I was looking at the RHCSA examinations earlier, and it's very much of a kind of close match to that. So the way I would kind of say, if you was again on your pathway towards I want to hit Red Hat, but Red Hat's a quite meaty, it's a meaty commitment, and you've got to have that idea of, will you get the ROI of it? Because if the company that you're working for isn't going to be using Red Hat, or they might be using a different version, different flavor of Linux, or they could have, or the job role you're going for is more cybersecurity, then how much would the RCSA kind of be in terms of, I always believe ROI in certification. Why learn something that's not going to give you that kind of ROI? So remember, my early point is to kind of, sometimes you do these certifications as a proving to yourself that all that learning you've done, all those labs you've done, has it meant something to you, and that's what you're doing for. And then when you go into interview, you can say, it doesn't matter even if you go for a Red Hat type job. And I believe, I'm not a Linux specialist, so hopefully I'm not misquoting myself somewhere. The flavor of Linux that we use is one of the flavors that kind of link into Red Hat. I can't remember what. Do you know, Aaron, which flavor I'm talking about Linux here?
Yes, the CentOS.
CentOS, that's the one. Thank you. So yes, CentOS is what we build upon.
Frank has decided to put on the Linux hat there for us.
Love it.
which is a nice little touch. So I'm gonna share. This is a god awful photo of me, but oh, sorry, I thought I brought it up. So this was me back in the day when I did the A plus, when they did the all paper reports session.
Mhm.
And what you call it, it's amazing how 7 or 8 years, 12th of the 5th 2016, how we went from these old paper reports to what you call it, to the fancy digital ones.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I do remember going into get the old photo taken, and I remember the old butterflies in the stomach, thinking, oh dear, what did I just put myself in for? But it was the best decision I ever made, and comptia made that possible. And I think that's something that you have kind of shared with us tonight,
I
that
I did
you
my
know
A plus and N plus as well, Matthew. When I started long back, but
Mhm.
I never got certified. But I do remember that, I used to open all the CPUs, and I used to assemble
Mm.
everything. I have to
Yeah, break
crimp the
fix. Yeah,
cables,
yeah. We do
crimping of the
break. Yeah.
cables.
Those days are gone, aren't they? Really? Like, when was the last time you opened a PC? Anyone? Anyone open a PC recently?
I opened a HP server last week.
Oh, okay. Well, as a server.
A rack server, but
Yeah.
PC. I opened up my old laptop there about a month ago
Okay.
to
Right.
change RAM in it, but that
Yeah.
was
I
about
But yeah,
reset my Surface RT yesterday.
did
It's
you?
9 years old. You
You
can't
brave
open them,
man. Yeah.
but I reset it.
Now,
I
now
it.
nowadays we have those Raspberry Pis and those servers. I can show you one of
yeah.
those.
Mhm.
Yeah,
This
yeah, I
is
do too.
my small, this is my Elite Tex HP, little bit server, which has the
Nice.
Ubuntu and everything installed, and I keep on clubbing it with all my things.
Yeah. No, Matthew, I love your setup in the background and that kind of workbench, etc.
Yeah,
Once upon a time, I had like a mini server rack in my bedroom. Okay,
yeah,
and I kid you not, like I was very early adapter on Azure because of being an MCT as well. Yeah, I am still MCT, and as soon as I started using Azure, I stopped touching the server racks at all. And then I was like, one day I said, bin. Everything went in a bin. And my wife was like, yes, I have more
oh,
space as well. So
yeah,
she was happy.
yeah,
I was doing everything in the cloud. So all good. So yeah, it depends. You see, if you're still in that kind of hardware world, great stuff.
mm,
My main machine is a Surface, and I'm happy
yeah.
with that, really. That
I
does
think,
enough.
I think, I think I have, what you call it? I've one of them there. Yeah, I have a Surface tablet.
There you go.
Um, but what you call it? Yeah, no, it's mad how we go from physical hardware all the way to virtualized Hyper-Vs and VMs, and
Right.
not even holding servers anymore. It's gone. That's the way it's gone. It'll be interesting to see, would it always be like that though, or would we completely move away from hybrid environments?
No,
Um,
I think what will happen is, you see, we'll still have kit that will never go away. It's just a case of that will like self-healing, self-repairing sort of thing, that which it does right now, doesn't it? So but the fact is, if let's say, if the screen goes off, if the screen gets knackered in the Surface I've got here, I'm not repairing it. I'm going to buy
no,
a new one. Let's face
no,
it, okay? Back in the day, with a laptop, you'd end up replacing the screen. Oh, the screen's broken. Okay, there you are. Now, literally, all I care about is making sure no one can get at the data, and I'll make sure that data is wiped, as it were, to very high standards, and then I'll get right now, donate it. Off it goes.
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. Salman, have you any questions? Frank, Marvel, have you any
Did you see
questions
my?
for our session?
You saw my red hat that time.
I loved it. Yeah. So Frank, are you our resident Red Hat ambassador?
Well, I done the Linux Plus back in the
Yay.
day.
Thank you. Now, the thing is with Linux Plus, I actually took the beta for the 004, was it? Yeah, 004 a few years ago. and it kicked my backside because it's been such a long time since I've done Linux as well.
Yeah.
But what I did like about it, and I've got to be very careful when I talk about exam questions. So this may or may not come up with the exam. You actually get a black box in the performance-based question. So, folks, just to kind of reiterate, in our exams, we have two types of questions. We have multiple choice questions, A, B, C, D, etc. Choose one, choose three, whatever. But we have performance-based questions, which typically come at the beginning of the exam, which could be like drag and drop, could be a network diagram you have to do stuff to, or could be, in this case, were black box, and I had to do stuff in that black box. And my commands are like, I think it's this, I think it's that. And I kind of muddled through the first question, like, yeah, got that one done. But the next
It's
two, three questions were just too hard for me.
it's the same thing, Sean, regarding the whole Linux concept of the practicality that you get a black system and then you feed in commands and you actually are answering the questions by practically doing stuff. It has exactly been replicated in Kubernetes.
Yeah,
It's just the same thing, and it's
yeah.
just the same thing. It's old as gold.
Yeah,
So
and
the
that's
thing.
what employers want. You see, so I knew, well, I knew I'd fail that exam, but had I gone through and studied, I didn't study for it was a beta exam. I just said, yeah, what's it about? Okay, had I studied and got that, imagine the confidence I would get with Linux,
Yeah.
and that's would have been like, yeah, I'll be on it, like, yeah, no Linux. I was like, I
I
had no idea what Linux was.
I
Yeah,
I was deeply gutted. I took the Pentest beta exam, and don't shoot me down yet, right?
Mhm.
The CompTIA Pentest beta exam, the new one that's just gone live, I took that in beta, and I remember thinking, there is no way I've passed this. Like, it just, there you have to have a certain level of uh, good command with Linux and shell and command line and all that. You just have to be really, really top notch at it to get that passing score. I remember looking at my result when I got it back, and I actually only was about 80 off passing it. But that wasn't bad for someone that never sat, a kind of a Linux exam. Now, I was unfortunate enough, I didn't get to do the beta Linux exam, but that gave me some bit of confidence in my Linux skills. So it'll be interesting to see will CompTIA bring out a Linux Essentials or something like they did with Cloud Essentials.
yeah.
I don't know, will they? But
Well,
The
we
Lin-
do Linux in A plus, don't we? So
yeah,
we have some Linux commands
you do, yeah, yeah.
in the A plus. So I think we'll see. Realistically, if someone said to me, maybe a year ago, will CompTIA do a software development exam? I would say go away. We don't do software development. Now all I can say is look at the SME workshop page, and you'll see what
Yeah.
we're going to be doing soon. So yeah, the world's a strange place right now. So, and again, we're following what the industry tells us to do.
Ken,
Question for you, Zeshan.
Mhm.
So I'm so sorry, Arindam.
no,
Just
sorry.
quick question before I forget. Um, Zeshan, the BCS society in the UK have membership for people in the UK and Ireland.
Mhm.
Um, CompTIA's membership. I understand that CompTIA have the certification, and when you get that certification and pass it, you get your certificate. Is Conte actually going to? Do you think there's any possibility Conte might do something like the
Well, okay,
BCS
so you're talking about
society?
kind of individual membership, aren't you?
Hmm,
So, with the
yeah.
BCS, they have that individual membership, and you pay, I don't know, about 50, 60 quid for every
Hmm,
year. I don't know what the fee is. But realistically, what we say is that as soon as you are pass a CompTIA exam, you are part of the CompTIA Certified Professionals Network, as
okay.
all there for you, and you are part of the alumni forever. As such, that's essentially what we're
Fair
trying to
enough.
say. Now, in terms of kind of becoming a member of CompTIA, now this is okay. So I mentioned Microsoft's a member, has been a member since day dot as well. Basic, essentially, when your company becomes a member, say they could be based in the US, could be based in
Hmm,
Japan, wherever. Okay, all employees are from that company are more than welcome to attend our events. So we run our membership events. It could be anywhere in the world. But if let's say you're a Microsoft employee, you're welcome. Come for free. Enjoy, drink and food on us, etc. Listen to IT speakers. That's all there. So and if you know Matthew, now if your company's not a member, get to become a member. It's not that expensive. Trust me. Like I
Yeah,
think it's
yeah,
like really tiny companies. This is the UK sterling price. Pay about £350 for the entire year membership.
yeah. It's
Yes.
nothing, to be honest. It's nothing, and I think CompTIA are doing such a good job. A question, guys, that we've actually before we go on to it, Arindam, I'm sorry, I interrupted you a minute ago, so go ahead.
Yeah, I just need to recapitulate what I was supposed to ask. I forgot now.
Was about
I'm
Linux?
so,
Give me a
I'm
moment.
so sorry. I feel
No, it's
terrible
okay.
now.
Yes. Okay. You said something, Tishan, about the data science examination, which is can you just throw some light, maybe some information, a little bit, not
All
too.
I know, I do a data science exam. Okay. Yeah. So, based from what I understand, this will be one of the expert level type exams we're going to be doing. I'm not sure where we've started recruiting for subject matter experts just yet, but if you are an expert, please apply. We're more than welcome to kind of get you through the process. Just beware, folks. I hear it all the time. Well, I didn't get selected to be an SME for CompTIA. Why not? It's hugely competitive. We get people from around the world applying, and then literally we're just able. It's our team in the US are doing a lot of filtering based upon their needs because they look at individuals say, right, we've got someone from say a bank ticking the box. We now need someone from
Mm.
this industry. So it's very competitive. So please don't take offense if you're not selected. But if you are if you want to find out more, best apply as an SME, and you'll probably find out more before I would do.
Okay, no, because then I was curious, because uh, whenever we talk about data science, it's always about Python, R, Scala, and those kind of things.
Yeah,
And I was
I
just
don't think we made any decisions yet. We just know we're going to be doing a data science exam.
okay, okay, cool. Thank you so much.
That session question: have CompTIA got anything similar to the MVP program for CompTIA?
Not yet. I think that's something I would love to do more of, and I've been trying to kind
Mm.
of a term I've been kind of trying to coin in CompTIA that hasn't quite caught on yet is a CompTIA champion. As it
Mm.
was.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah,
trying to kind of work out what the ins and outs are because anything we do as a program has a remember we're a non-profit, and
yeah,
so
yeah.
then there's a cost attached to someone
Mm.
running it and people being able to do that. What we do have though, as a program, if I know there's some instructors in the room, we have the CompTIA Instructor Network, the SIN network. So
Yes,
we have
yeah.
it's free to join sin.comptia.org. Just go on, log in, and just say request to join, and you're done essentially.
Yeah.
And that's where you get things like trainer access and access to
Mm.
another resource of trainers, etc. So really
Mm.
well worth joining the SIN network. And if you do one of the trainers courses from start to finish, you get a free voucher to
Free
take the
voucher.
exam.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's amazing. What the only disappointing thing I found about CompTIA, and I like everything about CompTIA. I do. I like
Hope
everything
you like
from
me.
the. I do. Yeah, absolutely. Sure, I've worked with you now at this stage over the last few months, and I have you on my journey to the cloud. I mean, what more could I ask? Um, I'm disappointed with the CompTIA teacher CTT exam in terms of the structure of it to understand how to get started with it.
Oh,
I've looked at the CompTIA website. I know there's a virtual assessment, and then there's the there's the two assessments. But it to me it's so confusing in
is it?
comparison
Wait,
to the micro MCT, the Microsoft Certified Trainer setup. It's something I always wondered, are CompTIA ever going to kind of I suppose define it more, make it easier to
okay,
understand,
that
you
is
know.
good feedback because that's the
Mm,
first time hearing that. Because to me, it's very simple. I took CTT
okay.
Plus in 2007. Yeah, 2000, 2008. I'll tell you why that happened. And literally, you take the computer-based test, the knowledge test, and
Yes.
then you basically do the video. In my time, there's only a classroom trainer version, so I had to go and teach in a classroom. That's a 20-minute recording of of you teaching in a natural environment. And when you submit that video, there's some paperwork to fill in, which is kind of really good because it's a case of bit of reflection, right? How did you set up the environment for learning? Now, how are you going to make sure you're going to challenge the learners? And then there's a bit of reflection. Okay, what would you have done differently? How are you going to make sure that people are going to be able to meet their goals from that learning? Or these were the questions that were there when I took it anyways. And then what I had to do with the video is, days of CDs, had to put a CD with a paperwork and send across to America. And so a few months later I got an email saying, yeah, hey, you passed that. And that's what happened. But literally from what you have to do now is a choice of, well, you take a computer-based test, which is the theory of learning, all that kind of thing, and make a choice of the video. Are you going to do a virtual trainer or classroom trainer? And now you upload the video and the paperwork to a website. Done. So
Okay.
I think, maybe our messaging needs to be a bit more clear on that one. So thank you for that.
The way you explained that session there made more sense than what the website said. So yes, that was much clearer. And now I might actually start going to look at doing it because I'm a Microsoft certified trainer. I'm a Microsoft certified educator. I'd like to be a CompTIA
But the thing
trainer.
is, you see, for both the MCT and the MCE, you just so then the MCE you sat an exam, right?
Yeah.
Click done. For the MCT, you probably had to fill some paperwork in, and someone had to sign you off as a trainer.
Yeah.
But no one objectively watched you train, and that's what the CTT Plus does. And it basically, apologies for the next phrase, it scares the heebie-jeebies out of you. For the entirety of your training skill is captured in 20 minutes. It can't be, and you can go up to 21 minutes and 59 seconds, but at 22 minutes, the watch just stopped the recording. So if you go anywhere beyond that cool stuff you do at minute 22 minutes and 1 second,
is no good.
Yeah. So you have to capture everything in that 20-minute slot, as it were. You can go 1 or 2 minutes under over sort of thing.
I think that will have clarified for anyone looking to do that how the
and I would
process
say,
works.
folks, so that will help you to become a better trainer. Because if we don't, even if you've got MCT, even if you're a certified teacher, even if you've been training for a while, you'll learn to kind of reflect and say, oh, I do that? And when I watched the first recording of me, and I can't remember, it's a mannerism. I kept on saying that again and again. And by watching myself do that, I'm like, okay, right, I'm not going to do that anymore. So we really need to kind of, as a technical training industry, kind of always keep ourselves to account. And like I said earlier, keep your certifications up to date. Why don't we do it? Why don't trainers actually keep themselves up to date in their training ability?
Agreed. Okay, Guy Zeshan, favorite CompTIA exam?
A plus.
A plus.
Has to be.
A plus. How do you feel, Frank? What would be your favorite exam if you had to take one, you think? I put him on the spot there. He's shocked. What would be your favorite exam, Frank? Didn't get that. Okay, he may be having a mic issue. Arendam, favorite exam?
N plus, Network plus.
Network plus.
Yeah,
Solomon?
it's a foundation, with the OSI model and everything,
Yep. Or people sitting in data processing. I know that one.
Solomon, yours?
Mine is going to be security. Can you hear me? Mine will be security plus. Security plus. Yeah. I like things that has to do with security.
Matthew, I think we rehearsed this, didn't we? So A plus, net plus, security plus.
It seems like that. It seems like that. It's completely rehearsed. You started A plus, N plus.
Yeah.
I suppose the only CompTIA one I done was the Linux Plus. So.
Oh, I knew he'd say that. So far we have A plus, we have Network plus, we have Security plus, we have Linux plus. Marvel, what was your favorite exam?
Is it specific to CompTIA or any other exam?
CompTIA.
specific to CompTIA, if you were
All
either to
right.
take the CompTIA exam or
All right.
have done
I
one.
haven't taken a CompTIA exam so far, but for me, it would be any of the security tracks, starting with Security Plus.
Okay, fair enough.
Marvel,
Fair
so
enough.
before you go away, are you more red team or blue team?
I'm a bit of both, but leaning more to the blue team.
Tell you what, okay, CISA Plus, our cybersecurity analyst exam, the CS002, you have a lot of fun with it. When I did that as an exam, I enjoyed it so much. It was so cool. But yeah, so definitely check that one out.
Yeah, I definitely will, because I'm currently interested in SOC, security operations. So yeah, that's my ballpark.
Amazing,
Matthew,
Marvel.
you didn't tell us your favorite exam.
I'll tell you.
So many of
My
them.
favorite exam is the first exam I ever passed with CompTIA. And when I say first exam, I don't mean the first one I started with. I mean the first exam I ever took at 2 in the morning, in my spare bedroom, obviously, because it was the only place I had no screens. So it was 2 in the morning. This was a 4 hour exam. Don't know where I got the idea to start it at that time. I came out of the exam at about 4:15, and I had passed CISA.
Excellent. Yeah.
First attempt. And I'll never forget it. I felt like I was on top of the world. I passed CISA. It was 4:15 on a Sunday morning, and I couldn't sleep for the rest of the day because I was just,
Nice.
I was so happy I did the exam. I had pushed it away for months and months, and my voucher was telling me, "Oh, you have to take this exam," or and that's good because it means it forces you. Look, you've pushed it away nearly 12 months. Do it. You got this. And I went in and I thought of everything everybody ever said to me about security, all the videos, all the Mike Chappell books, all the advice I got from Zeshan and other people on LinkedIn. And I took my CISA, the new CISA exam, and I passed it. And that is my favorite exam.
Great.
And it always will be.
It's a good
So,
exam.
Just a question, why two in the morning?
So we live in a state where kids are out and they'd be out till 10 or 11, playing ball and whatever. So I decided I would just do it really late. And I checked in at about 1:30, 1:45, and my exam started just shy of 2. So that's why. But I think if I hadn't had as much coffee as I had, I probably wouldn't have passed it though still. So coffee helped.
That's the thing you have to share, 2 in the
Yeah,
morning and coffee. So
Are you sure
uh,
you didn't come
yeah.
from the pub and decide to do it?
No, no, no. Come here. I do look, guys. I want to thank everyone. Obviously, I want to thank everyone, obviously, that gave up their time this evening. Um, Thank you so much, Zeshan Satir from CompTIA, Senior Director of Learning. Thank you so much for coming on the call. I know you're wrecked. I really appreciate everyone
Not
this
drunk,
evening
yeah,
that
right.
came on. You'll literally collapse into bed now in a sec. I do want to thank everyone for coming. Marvel, Arendam, Solomon, Frank, Zeshan. We have our Journey to the Cloud 5.0 event tomorrow. Looking forward to it.
absolutely.
Thank you to CompTIA for making an appearance on our live session tonight. Really means the world to me. Session. I look forward to working with you in the future. So until next time, guys, lights out, all out. Okay? All
Thank you
right.
so much,
Thank
Sean.
you.
Thank you so much.
All
Bye.
right, cheers, guys. See you
Bye.
next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.